Happy New Year. What's up, Ellis?
New Year's Eve.
When is that? No. When is that?
Could you just talk about the addition of Josh, what you've seen for him the past couple of days, or yesterday, and what you kind of look to get out of him in these final two games?
Yeah, he's come in. We actually just got out of a meeting, asking a lot of questions, picking things up very quickly from a terminology standpoint, so pleased with that. Also, just guys listening to him in the room, talking, bringing that leadership presence has been big in the first 24 hours, really, in terms of him being there and understanding what we're trying to get done.
Steve said he was in shape, but not game shape.
Mm-hmm.
How much would you expect to use him? And I assume you're planning to activate him here sometime in the next day or so.
Yeah, we'll see. Really see how the week goes. And how he progresses in terms of how he feels physically. And Coach was right when he talked about, there's a difference between being in shape and then there's a football shape, being in in-game shape. So he's working towards that right now. Can't really say, if he'll be activated or if he is activated right now, how many snaps, potentially he would play. He'd probably be on a limited role, though.
Could you take a ballpark stab at it?
Not really, just because – you don't want to put too much on a player that's just gotten here in terms of his rep count, number one, and then the volume in terms of what you may be running defensively. So it may, maybe certain packages per se. So it just depends on how the game goes, what packages we could potentially be in if he is up.
One thing Steve says was they liked about bringing a guy like Josh in is the effect he could have on some of your young players, because you do have a young room. What have you seen thus far to show the dog, I guess they're talking about that he brings?
Not necessarily the dog. He's asking questions. He's vocal. And, I remember when Josh was a young player back in the day when he came in, he wasn't very vocal. He was just he was listening to everyone else. So if you can believe that. But now he is vocal. So the veteran presence and the leadership, the younger guys are seeing that, which is going to hopefully bring that out of him.
Not vocally. He was like taunting Steve Smith his rookie year, wasn't he?
Well, on the field and in the classroom can be two different things. Josh is a competitor on the field. We know that. And he's going to do what Josh Norman does.
How much has Tampa changed since Week 7 offensively?
Really not a whole lot. They're conceptually still doing the same thing. Run game, mixing things up in terms of what they're trying to do to get it going. But the pass game has been consistent throughout the entire season.
They work a lot of quick game. How has Leonard Fournette changed the way they do things, I guess, throughout this season prior to previous seasons as a pass catcher?
Yeah, he gives them a viable option underneath. I think both running backs are maybe top 5 in the league in terms of reception. So they're getting the ball. They're getting the ball in space. And when you get a running back a ball in space, it's giving them a great opportunity to turn up field and get yards after contact. And they're tough guys to tackle. So I think, the running backs, Fournette, they add another element just in terms of, you're trying to take away some of the deeper routes, and then all of a sudden, boom, here's a 3-4 yard check down, turns into 7, 8, 9, 10 yards. So that's a problem.
How do you kind of coach the focus of not allowing that to happen? Obviously, they're not taking a lot of deep shots, but when those short short shots go, like from a technique standpoint, what are you saying to your players?
If you're playing zone, you got to have great vision. The quarterback's the ultimate key, so you got to read the quarterback's intentions. And then have great break angles and anticipation more than anything when you're in zone. And obviously, man coverage speaks for itself in terms of having a body on the body. So it's a challenge, either way. They're getting the ball out extremely quick.
You still spending a lot of time in the secondary room?
I am, yes. Mm-hmm.
How have you seen Keith respond to that game a couple weeks ago?
Really well. He got in the game last week and really didn't hear his name called at all. So to me that was a direct reflection of the type of player he is, and bouncing back and moving on to the next thing. So Keith has been good. Keith continues to grow each and every day with us, learning as a younger player, learning technique, also tools that he can use within the scheme to help himself out. And then, at the end of the day, we always talk about the weapons, but our eyes across the board, once we have great eye discipline, our play will continue to improve each and every snap.
Are you moving forward as though you won't have JC back at least in the regular season?
Not necessarily. I think Coach talked about that yesterday. I really don't know. We'll just have to kind of play it by ear and see where JC, falls, on a day-to-day, week-to-week type basis. I honestly don't know that.
Who do you trust at nickel right now or slot corner?
Well, we have a combination of guys that play that position for us, so it's really based on call. Just because of the different skill sets that go into playing that position. Some guys can blitz well, some guys can cover well. You've seen Jeremy Chin play in that role. You've seen Miles Hartfield play in that role. You've seen TJ Carey in that role. You've seen Justin Burris over time in that role. You've seen Sam Franklin in that role. So it's just a wide variety of matchups, trying to get the right matchups, and obviously matching up based on what the call is, trying to get them in the best position to accentuate their ability more than anything.
A lot of teams would call like Chin like a big nickel.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like about that personnel grouping?
Well, it helps you in a variety of ways. Obviously, getting a bigger body out on the perimeter helps you in the run game in terms of playing off of blocks. It helps you in the internal run game. There's a lot of motion and moving parts with a lot of offenses, so that player at times becomes part of the run fit like a linebacker. When we drafted Shaq back in 2015, that was Shaq's position. He played that position. But they also can give you some things from a matchup standpoint because they're athletic enough in coverage, in zone coverage, and a little bit of man coverage. So, that position is a premium. Having a person that can, or a player, that can play man, but also blitz, because that's another key element, fit the run game. A lot of times those things are difficult to find, just in one person at times. So you got to figure it out.
Tell me about your first ever meeting with Steve Wilks, ever when you met, and anything you saw in him then that made you believe, hey, he's going to be a head coach one day.
I don't know if that – the first time I ever met Steve was when I came here from New York and I interviewed for the job. And it's kind of funny. I met Steve and he said, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, and he left and went and did something. Like, man, he didn't like me very much or something like that. No, but Steve's excellent football coach, great command. His message and all those things. I think that's what separates Steve from most others.
As this defensive staff has kind of trickled down, is there any advantage to having fewer coaches on the staff from a communication standpoint?
Yes and no. I think the message is clear. The vision is clear that we're bringing downstairs to the players. We're all aligned and on the same page. So from that standpoint, less sometimes equals more. But at the same time, you like the hands on deck and being able to distribute and do different things and have this taken care of, that taken care of. So it's a combination of both.
What do you think you guys did best in the first Tampa Bay meeting, and where were you lacking?
Yeah, I thought early on in the game we stopped the run, which I thought was critical. And then third down, I thought we did a nice job getting off the field on third down, limiting the opportunities for their offense. I thought we left some plays out there. As you go back and you watch the tape, some opportunities to make some big plays. Some dropped interceptions, some missed tackles. Just details, alignments, things that hurt us that we could have minimized, gains on. So just fine-tuning all of those things has been a point of emphasis this week. But the things that helped us was the run game and then third down.
Interesting that you want to stop the run and make Tom Brady beat you.
Well, we've talked about this before, David. It's demoralizing when you don't stop the run. And, you can obviously mix up some things when when you feel like it's more of a passing type situation versus, that 2nd and 1 to 5, 1 to 6 window where you're feeling like it's 50-50. It's hard.
You and Steve both stressed the importance of winning with rushing 4 last week. I don't have your blitz percentage in front of me, but how do you think you guys fared rushing 4, and what would you attribute that to?
I thought we did a good job, and at times we were rushing 4 to try to cover up some things on the back end and get tighter coverage and have more eyes where they need to be. And then there's other times when you have to pressure and try to get the ball out, and you feel like the matchups may be favorable for you. So it's just a combination of changing it up, trying not to do the same thing each and every down and distance, obviously, or 3rd down in particular. Just trying to present different looks to the offense, make the quarterback have to work, make the O-line have to work.
So when did you know Wilkes liked you?
My memory's not that good. Our defensive staff back then, was a really, really close-knit, good staff, and I just, think we had a really good working relationship, and it just grew over time.
How did the Arizona situation impact him and his thoughts on his career?
Not particularly sure how it impacted him. I think as coaches, each and every year we learn, no matter what the situation is. We learn and we try to grow and evolve and continue to perfect our craft in terms of what we're doing. So if anything, I'm sure Steve definitely grew from that experience and just you have time to think about things you would do differently or do the same and things of that nature. So I just think overall we grow each and every year as coaches, trying to get better at what we do, trying to communicate better, trying to try different ways of doing things to affect the players, stimulate the players, and get different responses.
Your favorite Josh story?
I'm sorry?
Your favorite Josh story?
We used to have some intense times in the defensive meeting room. No story in particular. Josh is the only thing I'll say about Josh is he's such a competitor. He is such a competitor, and and when he was with us in the past, he was playing really, really, really good ball, and I know him and his teammates. We used to have to corral each other at times just to make sure that we were all aligned and on the same page. But I've had communication with Josh ever since he left the organization, and I think Josh has grown so much from a standpoint of just his maturity, how he communicates, how he looks at things, and he looks at himself as much as because he's still a good player, but as a mentor, for the young guys, because he once sat in those chairs and he was learning the ropes, so to speak, and he had mentors that helped guide him along the way.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.